Exodus is a book in the Old Testament of the Bible. And if you're of the same vintage as me, then you will remember the Disney Prince of Egypt movie. And, the plagues, Israel, the Israelite nation being enslaved in Egypt, and Pharaoh not letting them go, and all that kind of stuff. But the big point of that whole story in Exodus is that God's people are unable to worship him. And what God does is he says, I'm going to send somebody to rescue you so that you can come back and be in relationship with me and worship me again and enjoy that relationship. And so the historical events of the Exodus are kind of a foreshadowing or a metaphor of the bigger salvation story in the Bible, which is that humanity is enslaved to itself, to its own failings, to a broken world that it can't fix. And God says, don't worry, I'm going to step into creation and I am going to provide a solution to this broken world. I'm going to rescue a people from this broken world, from disease, from war, from damaged relationships. But I'm also going to deal with your failings as well, the mistakes that you've made that have damaged your relationships with each other and cut you off from being able to be in relationship with me. And so I'm going to deal with that. I'm going to go to the cross and I'm going to pay the penalty so that you don't have to pay the penalty. And if you trust in me for forgiveness for all your mistakes and all the things that you've got wrong, I can restore you to myself. I can restore you to each other. And I'm giving you a promise that I'm going to bring you from being enslaved, if you like, to a world that's broken. And I'm going to take you into a new creation when I come back. And that's really the good news of the gospel is this world is broken. Why doesn't God do something about it? Yeah, he has. He sent Jesus Christ into the world to do something about it. He's dealt with the root cause, our rejection of God, and he's made us a promise. If you trust in me, I'll take you to a perfect world that is not going to be like this one. So that's what I think about with the Exodus and the mercy that God has shown me. I'm not a good bloke. I needed God to have mercy on me. And so the track really is kind of a triumphant sounding tune to that end of, there's kind of a celebratory nature to it, but there's also angst and tension in there as well. Because that's the world we live in. We have this great promise in the gospel, but we live in the tension of still being in a broken world. But we can look at the cross and know, because Jesus came as a real man in history, we can trust his promise that the future he talks about will come to pass. So that's what I think about.